Have another gorgeous day today, and feel blessed that we do have warm temperatures and sunshine. Sitting outside of it used to be called Bristol Regional Hospital, and now Ballad Health owns all the hospitals in the area. I think there's one in Withful. Not quite sure how that doesn't become a monopoly. Seem to have a lot of questions. And husband is down here having a some kind of bone density test. They had sent him to a neurosurgeon, and we're trying to piece him back together a little bit at a time. But the scan that was done at Johnston Memorial Hospital was not adequate. So if somebody wants to know what socialized medicine is going to look like, come to Southwest Virginia, because we seem to be ahead of the curve on some of these things. And the specialist that was trying to read the MRI, he was not happy with the results, so he did have to order more tests. Very grateful that we did have the option of that. But we actually got to go to the shopping area that's called the Pinnacle here in Bristol, Tennessee. And Tennessee seems to have a little more sense than Virginia. I think that is Governor Bill Lee, and that he's restored some semblance of normalcy. It's a new normal amidst the mess that's been going on. Some of the changes were needed, and we actually were able to go to an Outback steak restaurant, because where the prices on red meat have gotten ridiculous, so apparently that's supposed to be due to supply and demand. Not sure on that, but where I do keto, it's like my body craves red meat. I am carnivore, and just my body does not function well if I do not have a certain amount of red meat. I've known this for many years. And there in the restaurant, at least that was nice. We still had a very limited menu, but it wasn't that horrible. They did do the social distancing as far as the tables and the amount of people that could come in at one time. I don't have a problem with that because I have PTSD. I don't like people up in my space, especially if I don't know them. And even as far as condiments, that you don't have things like salt and pepper on the table. You have to ask for like ketchup and steak sauce and things like that. I actually don't have a problem with that. I know it's a little harder on the servers, but humans have a tendency to be nasty. So I don't have a problem with somebody that is part of the kitchen staff that is preparing my food also giving me a cup of condiment. So that's not horrible. What I will say is that those who are doing the mask thing have a tendency to totally discount personal space. And that I do have a problem with. And it seems to be the older people more so than the younger people. And we actually had got in a store, and I can't tell you how many older people were clustering on top of me. I had to leave the store, not due to any kind of virus related anything, but as far as, again, the PTSD. I do not like people up in my personal space. So that it continues to be a problem. That they used to call that just common courtesy, having some manners. Apparently that is something else that has been banned in today's world. But got lots of questions about the masks. All right, first they were told not to wear the mask, that they weren't effective, that there weren't enough masks as far as healthcare providers. Okay, then they're saying to wear the masks. And there's a lot of issues with the masks. If someone has some kind of a health issue, if they have COPD, if they have asthma, they can't wear the masks. Where the mainstream media is still pushing the mask thing, I have read reports of people having some really ugly things said to them because they were not wearing a mask. Something I was made aware of today that I had not thought about was if you have someone who has a hearing impairment and reads lips, well, if somebody has a mask on, oh, there goes the mid-flight. that's definitely going to put them at a disadvantage. There it goes. Then you have people, okay, get out of the way. Then you have people that have mental health issues. People that have autism, a lot of times they cannot stand anything around their face. Anybody who has anxiety disorder, same thing like that. Those of like myself with oppositional defiant disorder, not only do we not tolerate it well, but we get a sort of an attitude about it that goes along with that. So nobody knows what to do. And everyone is receiving mixed messages. This thing was not thought through in any conceivable way. And they keep making things worse in a lot of ways. It's been like this for a long time. People that have, compromised immune systems, they know what they need to do to keep themselves safe. And if somebody is that sick, are they really going to be out in public? I mean, seriously, some of this goes back to need for common sense. So questions. I'm sitting here waiting on husband and just pondering. Prayers for our family are always appreciated. Hopefully we'll get either some answers here. He has an appointment with a neurologist this coming week, and that is to assess for brain trauma, which I strongly suspect at this time. And so we'll either have answers or even more questions, but either way, to be able to formulate a sort of revised treatment plan, treatment team thing, which I appear to be a team leader on some of these things because I'm there, and God sent me, and I thank God for it. Anyhow, for those of you who may not have seen the dash lizard before, he's a little bit faded, but he can be repainted. And we do have a little soldier there that reminds us to pray for those that are fighting for our country. Yeah, it's just a little reminder. You all have a beautiful, blessed day.